one of the future of the game. We're going to be focusing on the future of the game. And this week, players, focus, and commitment is the area we're going to look at. And by the way, big shouts to the Gman and Gezzie Fizzle as well. Gezzie is not able to be with us this week, and the Gman is on holiday in Magaluf. Well-deserved holiday there, brother. Let me see you, brother. But Harry Redknapp. I spoke on him earlier. I'm going to come back to him in spades. Harry Redknapp claims players didn't want to play for the Three Lions whilst he was manager of Spurs. This is originally from Sunday 22nd of June 2014. Queen's Park Rangers boss Harry Redknapp has questioned the commitment of young English players to represent the national team, claiming that during his time with Tottenham Hotspur, some players would try to dodge duty with the Three Lions. Redknapp managed a number of English players during his 4-year stay at White Hart Lane, but refused to name names when drawn on which players he was talking about. I'm going to come on to that bit. I think we still go to tournaments. Whether it be under 17s, under 19s, under 21s, there are too many pullouts. It seems to be everyone's got an excuse. And I can tell you when I was at Tottenham, when full internationals came around, there were 2 or 3 players who did not want to play for England. That was a quote from Redknapp. They would come to me 10 days before the game and say, "Gaffer, get me out of that game. I don't want to play in that game." That is how it was. I'd say, "You're playing for your country. You should want to play." They would say, "Nah, my girlfriend's having a baby in 4 weeks. I don't want to play." And that is the truth. So it makes you wonder. And I think it's only going to get worse. You see the stick the England players get, and they come home. They're earning fantastic money at their clubs. They're all playing in the Champions League. We are talking about Tottenham here, right? Anyway, they're earning fantastic money at their clubs. Do they need the aggro? Redknapp managed a number of English players during his tenure, the majority of whom actually did play for England on a regular basis. Jermaine Defoe, who's got more than 50 caps. There was Ledley King, Jonathan Woodgate, among others. But Southampton great Matt Le Tissier, who won just 8 England caps despite his talent, said the claim sticks a knife through your heart. Now, Steven Gerrard replied to Harry Redknapp on the same day, on the 22nd of June 2014, and he called on Harry Redknapp to name names after he claimed players tried to avoid international duty when he was in charge at Tottenham. In Belo Horizonte, at the time, if Harry, he said, "I'll tell you what, I'd be interested to find out who those players are." Who those players are. If Harry is making a comment like that, he should name them and embarrass them. No one in this group wants to go home. No one. So Redknapp was giving his thoughts on the national team following England's elimination from the 2014 World Cup after just 2 group games. Now, he also said, should Harry not name them? If he's not naming them, then I can't answer. If that's the case, then it's disgusting. For me, if a player doesn't want to be here, he doesn't deserve to be here at a World Cup. Who? Name them. I don't know who he means. 5 years ago? 10 years ago? Now, Jack Wilshere has courted controversy recently because Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger at the time, about a week ago, from about the 20th of July 2014, the England midfielder Jack Wilshere attracted negative headlines. Wilshere was criticised by his manager last season after he was pictured smoking a cigarette outside the nightclub, and in the aftermath pledged it would not happen again. The 22-year-old was photographed smoking again last week whilst on the holiday, though, and Wenger, while not overly concerned, wants to find out exactly what happened. Now, it's one of them was Wenger said, I know what you can make of pictures. I have to speak to him to really to see what happened before I come out publicly. I'm not deeply concerned by it. I just want to know what happened. And before I know what happened, I don't want to talk too much about it. A common consensus is that Wilshere's career has stalled over recent years, with injury and form taking a hold. Now, Jack Wilshere has apologised for being caught smoking. This was from the 27th of July 2014. Arsenal and England star Jack Wilshere has apologised for smoking on holiday after the World Cup and admits his behaviour is unacceptable. The 22-year-old midfielder was photographed smoking in a hot tub in Las Vegas, the second time in less than a year that he's been pictured with a cigarette in public. Wilshere said that I made a mistake then, and I made a mistake again. People make mistakes. I'm young, and I'll learn from it. I realize the consequences it has and the effect it has on the kids growing up. I've got kids myself, and I don't want them to grow up thinking that their dad smokes and that it's okay for footballers to smoke, because it's not. It's unacceptable. I'll accept the consequences and move on. He's also said, actually, this season is a big one for me. I came back to pre-season early to show everyone my commitment and that I'm fully committed to the club and to my job, and I want to show everyone that. This year we've been really positive, gone into the market and signed a couple of great players. Now, I think in terms of Harry Redknapp, dude, from Straight Shootin LJA, this is not the view of Pitch Talk, it's affiliates, subsidiaries or sponsors. This is the view of Straight Shootin LJA. Harry, yo, bro. Mr. Redknapp, Harry Redknapp, if you're going to come out and say that players wanted to dodge England duty, you best be coming out and naming and shaming them, or else your comments are pretty much irrelevant. It just, because basically, either you're just shooting your mouth off just to keep your name in the papers just because you got your book out, and at the time your book was just about to come out. Don't think I ain't seeing correlations there. But the fact of the matter is, if you're gonna chat smack in that way, you best be ready to name and shame, or else you're gonna look like a wuss. You're gonna look like a moron. Because there's no point coming out and saying, let's say for instance someone says, "Oh, I know someone who's a paedophile." Why would you come out and say that without naming the person? That's what I would look at. Extreme example, yes. Extreme example, but the fact of the matter is, if you're gonna throw out accusations, you have to throw people under the bus. You can't just be saying, "Oh yeah, well, some people do this," because you're always gonna get asked. And you should have expected, you're always going to get asked, right, so who? You got any examples? Because if you ain't got no names, it just looks like frivolous claims. So it's one of them ones. But the fact of the matter is, it is, coming back to that actual point, it is actually slightly concerning that if it is true what Redknapp's saying, then that's a concern. Because at the end of the day, there were people who would kill to pull on those three lions and represent England, whether it be in a friendly or a World Cup or whatever. There are people who would kill for that chance. Personally, I would love to. Be one of them ones that should be the pinnacle of a career, to represent your country, especially at a World Cup or European Championship. Big stages for big players, for big names at big times. That is what it's all about. Now, the thing with Jack Wilshere being caught is similar to the Suarez deal, where last year he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not going to bite anyone again." Then a year later, just literally a shade over a year later, dude does the same thing again. Now, that's the only real similarity between the two situations, because at the end of the day, for me, a lot more is being made about the Wilshere thing than it really should. If the guy wants to smoke, fine, it's his body, let him do what he wants with it. He ain't hurting no one else. Fact of the matter is, the dude's on holiday. Let the dude cut loose. He's on holiday. What do you do on holiday? You relax, you cut loose, you do stuff that you don't generally do whilst you're at home. Like pedal to the metal, balls to the wall, head to the grindstone, working fingers to the bone. It's one of them ones. Let the dude, he's young, he's what, 22? Let him do what he wants to do. It's one of them ones. This is the thing that gets me about the parasitic media. Just zoning in on it. Oh, is this why his career's stagnating? Oh, this, that, and the other. Mate, I don't get why people care so much about footballers' personal lives. Like I've said before, footballers should not be role models, because most footballers, if they had a brain, they'd be out playing with it. They should not be role models, and they should not be put on such a high pedestal whereby whenever they do anything, they're going to get shot down for it. I've never agreed with footballers being role models, and I don't think they should be. So what if they earn thousands of pounds a week, or millions of pounds a week? Mate, Donald Trump is worth millions of pounds. I don't look up to him as a role model. I don't identify with him. So footballers, if you're mindlessly following footballers and be like, oh my God, he's my hero. What? He's your hero because he earns a shed load of money, because he's got the pick of the women, and then when he gets caught smoking a cigarette, oh, the world is ending. Nah. For me, that doesn't hold water. It really doesn't. But focus and commitment. It's a case of, I think, to an extent, Jack Wilshere lacks a bit of focus, and I mentioned that I was going to tie Southampton into this. Because earlier in the show, we mentioned about Southampton basically getting strip mined of their best players. Lovren gone, Lallana gone, Lambert gone, Shaw gone, Chambers gone. That's 5 just off the top of my head that have gone from Pochettino's Southampton team last season that did so well. Now. And there was, I said, big shout out to Gary Batten, who is a Southampton supporter, because he actually said something quite interesting to me. I think it was yesterday. I think it might have been yesterday. I think it was. I'll get it up in a sec, but it was one of them where he said something extremely interesting to me that I actually did want to repeat. And I actually did want to repeat on the show, and that was, sorry, I'm just gonna get it on my phone. And basically, we were like, I was like, he actually said to me, remember that warning I gave you at the end of May? I mean it now. And that warning was about hands off Lambert and Lallana. But in terms of that warning, I was like, where's Lovren? Where's Lovren? But it was a case of Gary Batten has said, I have faith in Coleman, but it seems we can't build while people keep leaving. Chambers is next, which is a massive loss. And this was late on Sunday, and like. It's one of them ones, and I said to him, it's sad to see that most new teams on the block who do well end up getting gutted by the big sides. They get strip mined. And also, to which Gary Batten actually said, I kind of wish we'd finished 16th and kept a decent team. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because in terms of focus and commitment, when you move to a big club so early in your career after one good season, then you and you're earning huge money at club level, then your focus is gonna waver a touch. Your focus is gonna waver a bit, because it's gonna be like, well, because it ties in with England's underachievement and people not wanting to play at international level, like what Harry Redknapp was saying. Because at the end of the day, if you think you've made it already and you're a big shot, then you're not going to try as hard. You're always going to be like, well, I can't be bothered today. I don't really want to play. I can't be bothered. So then it's like, it's one of them, as your focus goes, your commitment goes. And if you're making big money already, you already think you've made it. So you don't need to do anything else. You get into a comfort zone, and then complacency comes in, which some may say relates to Jack Wilshere's career, which is why it might have supposedly stagnated. He might be in a comfort zone at Arsenal. He's at a club he loves. He's getting regular game time. It's one of them ones you never know. You never know. But it is a concern. There are legitimate concerns. I said the smoking thing. It's one of them ones. A lot of people smoke and are perfectly healthy. I'm not advocating smoking. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it. But for me, the fact of the matter is, what someone does in their personal time, as long as it ain't encroaching on anyone's human rights or anything, as long as it ain't hurting nobody, then do what you want. Then do what you want. If it makes you happy, do what you want. That's the way I see it. If you ain't hurting yourself and you ain't hurting anyone, then there's nothing wrong with it. Hey. But anyway, but you know what? If any of the Skypers want to jump in on any of these points, please let us know via Skype, and also facebook.com/pitchtalk, at pitchtalk on Twitter as well. Because I'm interested to hear a couple of other views as well, and I'm sure the people on YouTube are as well. Because I think it's just one that I said it's a case of players' focus and commitment is where we are. Southampton might have gotten a shed load of money from it, but at the end of the day, those players might have been better off staying at Southampton for another season and continuing their development. Again, if the focus and commitment goes, then your development it stagnates. Look at Jermaine Pennant. He got signed to I think he was like 15, 16 years old and got signed to £1 million contract. Boom, distractions, instant distractions, and he never realised his potential. Sean Wright-Phillips, another one, signed to a big contract, never realised that potential. Daniel Sturridge, when he moved so early to Chelsea, that $10 million deal, it was like, boy, that's a huge deal. That's a huge weight on young shoulders. Who else? Michael Johnson, another one. So it's one of them ones. I mean, Sam Greenham, you wanna jump in on it? You wanna jump in on the Redknapp claims of England players not wanting to play, and also Wilshere and the smoking issue, and also Southampton as well.
Yeah, it's just a quick one. I wouldn't really like to see Southampton waste the money like Spurs did with the building they got a season. They bought 11 or 12 new players Spurs last season, and half of them they're getting rid of. Yeah, because they're out of the standard. But when you think of the money that they've got off Shaw and Lallana, was it just over 50 million? Yeah. PSG bought Zlatan and Silla for less than that. Why'd go out? They've just got rid of their best player, their main man up front. I know you've still got Sturridge, who is a great player, but they need strengthen defence-wise. Even the new goalkeeper done with Mignolet, because I still don't think he's Champions League stand.
Yeah, but that's why we got Rain. That's why Rain has been brought back.
You still could have gone out and got 2-3 world-class players.
But the thing is, there's still time. You know, there's a month left of the transfer window, so the dealings ain't done. The dealings are far from done.
But I know Lallana is good, but he's had 1-2 decent seasons at Southampton. The same with Shaw. He's 18. He's the same age as me. He's had one good season at Southampton. Now he's on, what is it, 100 and something grand a week?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, you can say the same about Callum Chambers as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the short-termism. This is the short-termism that really runs rampant in football. Because at the end of the day, a lot of players have one good season, then they go for huge money. Gareth Bale had a good season and a half. Boom, 80 million. It's like, what? Where the hell did that come from? It's that sort of thing. So I mean, it's with English players as well. The inflated transfer fees are just stupid. But also, I think it's one of them ones. Certain players move too early in their careers. I mentioned Daniel Sturridge. Dude moved to Chelsea way too early in his career. And his development, because of the way that club was at the time, his development stagnated. And his focus went off because his development was stagnated. Right.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. It's the same with Shaw. I know they've got rid of everything, and he might still. Well, he probably will get first team football there. But an 18-year-old on more than 100 grand a week, who has barely played for England 3 times, I think, 3 or 4 games.
I think so.
One average season at Southampton. I think think it's a bit ridiculous. I really do think it is a bit over the top.
No,
The money being spent. When players from other countries who are a lot better developed than them are going for less money.
But this is one of them. As I said, it's just that it's the whole thing. It's the whole thing with short-termism. It really is the whole thing with short-termism. I mean, Man City at one point were just buying English players and basically hoarding them. Jack Rodwell, Scott Sinclair, where are they now? Another couple of examples of players who really should have stayed where they were for at least another few seasons, then moved on. But we're seeing it too much. And I said, it's a case of the new club on the block who does well and surprises everybody ends up getting gutted, ends up getting strip mined for their players.
Just another quick one. When Tom Ince signed for Hull City, I saw a lot of so you could say hate on Twitter saying he's got no ambitions to go to a good club after turning down Inter Milan. But at the end of the day, wouldn't them same people be saying that he was being greedy for the money and the club and would get any game time if he did go to Inter Milan over Hull?
Yeah. See, no, they would have. It would have been like, he's only moved to Italy for the money. And plus, if you want game time, you got to be realistic. Inter Milan, boy. I mean, Tom Ince is not the same player as his dad. It's one of them was he will find it more difficult to get into that Inter Milan team than his dad did. So, it's one of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mike. I mean, it's one of them was. Mike Harneman, you wanted to jump in on this as well, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of agreeing with what Sam was saying, really. I think it might be proved with Chambers as well. I think it could be potentially another signing that's been made a little bit too early. Maybe it would have been better to actually give him another year or two at Southampton, get him playing regularly, obviously with the likes of Lovren leaving already. If he was actually playing regularly for Southampton and you're watching him even up until as early as January to see how he's performing, then to make a move for him, that would have been a lot more probably beneficial, I think.
No, I hear that. I mean, it's one of them was Jay. You wanted to jump in as well, right? Jay?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to have a quick say on the whole Tom Ince situation and kind of say my 2 pence on that, if that's all right.
Yeah, feel free, man. And if you got any points about what Harry Redknapp's been saying and also the Wilshere deal, seeing as you're an Arsenal supporter, have that.
Yeah, I'll be quick then. In regards to Tom Ince, I kind of disagree, to be honest. My conversation or my point could go on for ages, but I'll try and narrow it down to the education of players. I mean, when you look at Germany and their youth setup and whatnot, they're educated from a young age, do you know what I mean? And the whole taboo with English football is that players are actually scared to move abroad, i.e., the language barrier, the whole culture change, whatnot. Now, what I would say on top of that is I kind of actually, as much as I've slandered him heavily over the last God knows how many years, I rate Ashley Cole because he's taken a chance, do you know what I mean? He could have gone to quite a lot of clubs in England and abroad, even with easier speaking languages, but yeah, he's gone to Italy. It's a culture change for him. Obviously, he's not at the beginning of his career, but I think it's also another gamble to take when you're at the end of your career. Do you know what I mean? Because he's obviously been a long servant, whatnot. But with the Ince situation, I think he should have gone. You can't compare Inter Milan to Hull. Even if he was going to get 20, 15 games a season, do you know what I mean? The experience is invaluable. It's a competitive team that he's in, Champions League, or actually Europa League, sorry. Are they in Europa League?
I think so. Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? He's getting that experience on top of the bits and pieces of football he may or may not have played. Do you know what I mean?
But you know what? But the thing is, with a player at Ince's age, you need regular game time to get yourself sharp, keep yourself sharp, build a bit of momentum behind you as well. That's I think that's what he needs. And if he's gonna keep stop start, it's not gonna help your development. And also, and also,
is if you're good enough, you'll play.
Yeah, but this comes back slightly to what I was saying a bit ago, where it's a case of he's not the same player his father was. I don't think he's going to get into the Inter Milan team as his father did. I mean, his dad forced his way into that team, and it's one of them ones. But also. In terms
exactly,
of,
that's the difference. His dad forced his way in, whereas Inter actually approached Tom. There's a complete difference there.
Yeah, but then AC were approaching a Delta Rapt, and it was like, wait, hold on a second, that's a weird one. But leaving that
he
one,
still went and played though.
Yeah, but that was an AC Milan team in transition after the Travelling Wax Museum had all retired. I used to call them the WCW of Italy. But anyway, but the fact for me, it's a case of Ashley Cole. His point was right in terms of English players are afraid to go abroad, but he looks like a hypocrite saying it because he's basically doing it right at the end of his career. I would have respected him a hell of a lot more, and I would have given a lot more credence to his point if he'd done that at the beginning of his career, whilst he was trying to get into the England team, whilst he was trying to make his way in the game. Rather than right at the end of his career where he's already respected, he's already had his success. Now it's time for a swan song. It's like someone like Emil Heskey coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, more English players should come to Australia," but you only went at the end of, but you've only gone there for basically what is your swan song. So it's one of them ones. That's why I think what Ashley Cole said was right, but he's not in a position to say it because he's doing it right at the end of his career for his last payday.
My point is why can, for instance, young Germans go abroad, not stay within Germany, which is also a very competitive league, and they still get in the German team? Do you know what I mean? And they've just won the World Cup, by the way, which we all know. So I don't see the hype surrounding English players, from the transfer fees to the whole moving abroad. And it seems a big furore where other countries, they just seem to get on with it.
But see, like what I'm saying, like what I was saying earlier, it's the short-termism, especially within the parasitic media, which spreads to fans. Because a lot of fans will see that, oh my God, Adnan Januzaj. Perfect example of a player, 2-3 good games, oh my God, he's the next big thing. That kind of short-termism happens to so many English players, and then what you get is them players never living up to the hype because they're not allowed, because it's like, right, there we go. Throw him into the big shark tank, without letting them get a couple of 2-3 good seasons under their belt, let them blossom and develop. It's one of them. That's where I have the issue. And I said,
how do we know that he wasn't gonna play? Like when Owen went to Madrid or McManaman went to Real Madrid. Do you know what I mean? These were English players that went abroad, took a chance, and were sort of near the beginning of their international careers.
Wait. Owen and McManaman near the beginning of their international careers when they moved abroad. No, they weren't.
Owen was closer to the beginning of his international career.
No, what? No, that was he didn't move till 2000. He didn't move till the beginning of the 2004-2005 season. Yeah, I was gonna say, hey, don't test me on that one, considering I have the live bird upon my chest. But anyway, no. But it's because Michael Owen moved very late on in his international career. Bearing in mind his international career started in '98, he didn't move till 6 years later. to Real Madrid. Steve McManaman didn't move to Real Madrid till what, 98, 99? And he'd already been playing in the England team since what, 94-ish? 93, 94-ish? So, I mean, but
fair point. I just don't agree. I think more younger English players should take a chance. That's just the be all and end all of it, really.
Oh, of course. I agree with you on that.
Of the Premier League, do you know what I mean? I reckon more, because other countries are doing it, and that's what the main thing is.
No, exactly. No, I agree with you on that point. We over the last few weeks, this point has come up as a recurring theme over the past few weeks. I mean, Jamie Bailey was mentioning a few weeks ago about why should we have to move? Why should English coaches and players have to move abroad and that kind of thing? We had a huge debate a couple of weeks ago about it. iTunes, Mixcloud, Podomatic, Spreaker. That's where the podcasts are. And youtube.com/PitchTalk. We leave the live show video feeds up there as well. But it's one of them ones. We've had huge debates about that. And Jay, I agree with you. English players should potentially move abroad, especially if you're not getting opportunities over here at the big sides. But it's one of them ones. Players not living up to the hype. That's where the problem is, because the hype is too much. I said with Adnan Januzaj as an example, and I used him as an example on purpose because look at the way he was being brown nosed by our own FA. Oh yeah, we'd love to have him. Yeah. And then he ended up choosing Belgium. It's like, now you look stupid. Now the FA looks stupid about it.
With the whole situation with Tom Ince, though, is that, people are looking at it one side saying, he needs to perfect his game. It's best for him to stay in England, etc., etc. But if he went abroad, he's not playing for one of the top 4 sides here. He could be playing for one of the top 4 sides in Italy, which is still a competitive league with the tightest defenses around, one could say. So it's hard to say he's made the right choice, because at the end of the day, the education that he would receive abroad is totally different from what he would be doing here.
Of course, but then my question would be: is he going to get regular game time? And when you're young, you need to be playing regular. So it's a double-edged sword. It's definitely a double-edged sword. I mean, Sam Greenham, you wanted to jump back in about the Tom Ince thing and about English players in general, if you will, as well.
Yeah, it was just a quick one on Jay's point about Inter Milan being in the Europa League and game time for Inter if he did choose to go over there. Just pointing out again, Hull are in Europa League with the first game this night against AS Trenčín in Slovakia, I do believe. And if you wanted competitive football, even at Hull, we do have competitive midfield with the likes of Huddlestone, Sonny Luke can drop back into the midfield, Robbie Brady just coming back from injury, who in the first 10 games was our top goal scorer with about 4 goals last season. Marler, even Quinn. We've still got a strong midfield. Snodgrass as well, just being signed on. But I think if you went to Inter Milan, George Boyd as well, Mike, still scoring the goals for us. I think if you went out to I don't think anywhere near the starting team, I think he'd be more of a cup game kind of person. And
but then
maybe,
but then it's one of them.
Qualified.
But then it's one of them ones with Ince not getting near the team. That just shows you with all due respect to Hull, that shows you the difference in class between Hull and Inter Milan.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. I really couldn't agree more with you. That's the thing. We're a team who's just come into the Premiership. It's our 4th ever season in the Premiership in 110 years, 111 years now. And we've only just got to the FA Cup final. We've never won a trophy apart from the playoffs. I don't know if you class that as major, but we still are on the up, and game time we need, even if he is using as a bouncing ball to move up to a bigger club, this is where get the game time at a lower league club. Your Stokes, Palace, Stam, teams like that. Burnley, Leicester. That's where he had to go for his first team football. Not a massive European giant like Inter Milan.
No, that's a good point. No, that is a good point. I mean, it's one of them ones. I mean, Mike Harneman's been waiting for a bit to jump in. Mike Harneman, you want to jump in with your points as well?
Yeah, it's mostly kind of similar to what Sam was saying. It's about, I think Tom Ince should stay in England. I think going to Hull is a good move for him. I think him and George Boyd maybe could be the whole sort of right sort of midfield and left midfield for next season. I think Ince will be a regular. I think he'll play a lot of games in the league and FA Cup and even Europa League and that as well. And he's not actually guaranteed to start at Inter. He might be on the bench. He might not be like in the squad at all. Look at some of the players that are in the Inter squad. He's going to be competing with totally different level of players.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I mean, Ross Vernon, you wanted to mention something about Ince as well.
Yeah, I've been listening to Sam and Jay, and then I've just listened to my points about Tom Ince. And for me, like Mike was saying, I've been speaking to Mike regarding it in the chat. For me, I just like to articulate what I've just said in the chat. Mike said Ince would probably have a year, maybe two max at Inter, and then go out on loan or be sold. So I said, I agree. I think if Ince went to Inter Milan, I don't think he'd be nowhere near the starting 11 by the time January come around, because we've been to got so many players coming through the academy which they were playing in this International Champions Cup tournament which is being played right now, which you saw their match earlier today. Well, not today, we played against Real Madrid, which they won on penalties. And for me, the players who played in that game looked good on possession, and I think if he wants to be in the England squad in the future to play one of the wingers in the near future for England, I think he should stay in England. And I think next season, I think him and Rob Snodgrass could be key wingers for Hull, and it could end up having a good strong challenge for being in the Europa League places next season and building on this terrific season. And yes, he's just mentioned Huddleston, Livermore, Quinn, Marler, Ince, Snodgrass, Brady, Boyd, Wilco. That's brilliant midfield. That's brilliant midfield in depth there that always go in the squad, so they can choose any four from them or in our main formation what Blues wants to play next season, whether it's going to stay with 3-5-2. We've got so many players that can choose from. Ince, he has more depth into the squad and gives them more options to go forward in the league and strengthen in that position.
I mean, I mean, bringing it back to some of the other issues as well. It's a case of Kieran Riley. You wanted to jump in about the wheelchair smoking issue.
Yeah, to be honest, football players smoking, for example, butchers, it's bad for their health, as anyone knows that smoking is.
Yeah.
And also, the fact that he's smoking and he's a professional footballer is going to look very bad on him, as he's like a role model for some younger kids who want to be like him when they've grown up. And then with him smoking, it's going to affect him, it's going to affect his personality, and also people will start having second thoughts about him, if you get what I mean.
No, I do. But I mean, like I said earlier, it's a case of football players shouldn't be role models. And also, like I said, hey, if most of them, if they had a brain, they'd be out playing with it. So it's one of them ones. I mean, Will Shear's career, some may say it's stagnated, some may say it's because of the smoking. But as I said, I think the parasitic media have made a lot bigger an issue of him smoking in his free time on holiday. I mean, I don't know I don't know if it was kind of a paparazzi guy in a tree taking those pictures, perving over him and Joe Hart. I don't know like what that's about, but it's one of them was how they got those pictures. I don't know, but the fact of the matter is, what people do in their spare time, something I think it should be up to them. The media shouldn't be prying into people's spare time, because at the end of the day, if they're because for me it's a case of, if the media weren't trying to pry into a footballer's personal life, then probably no one would have known about this picture.
Yeah, it's the fact that
So there's
like,
an ethical
press
issue, there's a moral and ethical issue there.
Yeah, it's the fact that like the press and all that have got free press. They can go around doing whatever they like, whether it's like taking pictures of someone doing stuff which is wrong, or following them around constantly. It's the fact that they've got free press that they're able to do it, and that's why they keep putting all these things in that sometimes are 100% true and sometimes are 100% BS.
Well, on a general basis, what the parasitic media says is BS. But at the end of the day, you got people feeding that machine as well, like these moronic ITK accounts on Twitter. But he's spreading the BS. So it's one of them ones. Jay, take it easy, mate, and thank you for joining us. Hey, we gotta get you back regularly, dude. Yeah. But I mean, it is one of them where it's. Obviously, the media run roughshod over everyone and everything. I mean, just look at the phone hacking scandal. If you want any more proof of that, and they get away with it.
Sorry, guys, because I'm on my phone. It's a madness trying to switch to and from the muting mic. So yeah, but thanks for having me. Yeah, and I'll try and make more appearances. Definitely, I've just been real busy doing work and stuff. So yeah, I'll definitely try and make more appearances, guys.
Nah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. And you're always welcome, Jay. You're always.
Enjoy your week, all of you, and have a good weekend as well. Take care, man.
You too. Take it easy. But you know what? The fact, for me, the fact of the matter is, a lot was made. I said, the media have basically free course and do whatever they want to do, but no one really holds them accountable for it. So it's as I said, football players shouldn't be role models. I just don't think so. I just really don't think so. I mean, Mike Harneman, do you want to jump in about the Wilshere thing as well?
Just quickly, it's just saying, I agree with you about the footballers not being role models. I think, but then at the same time, I also think if he's going to let his performances drop because of, his health or anything like that, then he's got to look at himself. He's got to see where he's going wrong and sort of take a step back, if you know what I mean, and concentrate on his game a bit more.
Of course. Oh yeah, of course. I couldn't agree with you more. And at the end of the day, a lot of people in general life need to take more responsibility for their actions. They really do. It's not just footballers. It's people in general life who need to look at what they're doing. You need to be. I was listening to Breaking Kayfabe commentaries, Breaking Kayfabe with Troy Martin, aka Shane Douglas, and it's he got it right in terms of saying, you know what, that you need something like everyone in life. You need to look. You need to look in the mirror. In life, you need to look in the mirror at the person staring back at you and ask, are you happy with that person? And if you're not, then you know what you need to do. You need to make changes. If you're not happy with yourself, you need to change. So it's one of them. It's a mad one. But I mean it's one of them where Tom Wood has said if Wilshere's caught smoking again, I'd fine him 2 weeks' wages. Fair. That's fair, but again, at the same time, what he does in his personal time, that's his personal time. And I said, if it wasn't for the parasitic media and these paparazzi guys, nobody would know. Nobody would. If he wasn't like, if some paparazzi guy didn't take a picture of him outside of a club, they wouldn't know that he smoked. So, who's at fault? Who's to blame? It's one of those. That's the way I look at it. But a lot more English players on a general basis need to take responsibility for what they're doing. Managers need to help and take responsibility for what their players are doing to an extent as well. But if, coming back to the original points, if Harry Redknapp wants to come out and say people are dodging England duty, name and shame him. Name and shame him, because it's the only way you're ever going to get that to stop. It's one of them ones. Look at this Operation U-Tree thing. Boy, people who were fiddling around with youngsters years ago are getting named and shamed and getting convicted. That should have happened 20, 30 years ago. It's one of them. So, but also with the I mean with the thing coming back to Southampton as well. It's just such a shame. I said it's a shame that the new team on the block always ends up getting strip mine for players. It's a shame. It is actually a real shame. But it is time. It is about that time for us to shift on segments. So by the way, a big hello to El Marquez, aka Mark Gould. He's in the Skype chat, who was in the Skype chat. Ever so briefly was in the Skype chat. I think he's trying to get back, but Skype's giving him problems. Big shout out to Daniel Frimpong Grant as well. Big time shout outs. What's up, Daniel? But you know what? It is time, baby, for us to get a bit seasoned. Is he dench? Oh no, not that dench gimmick again. You know what? It is time for us to pause that track that we were on, because that is the first week of the Future of the Game special feature.